NCAA, the all-time leading scorer in the National Basketball League of Canada, Anthony Anderson, coming out toward center court with Mayor Arnold and Mike Story from the Moncton Magic.
He's going to have his running partner here come out with him, Al Stewart, in a second.
Talking about the tremendous accomplishment, first player in the National Basketball League history to reach 1,000 points, 1,000 assists, and 1,000 rebounds. Nice moments here. The largest crowd of the season, largest crowd in franchise history.
Absolutely.
The final game of the regular season. Well, you mentioned his running mate. There he is, two-time NBL Defensive Player of the Year, Al Stewart, the second player in NBL history to reach that milestone of 1,000 points, 1,000 assists, and 1,000 rebounds.
And he's sore that he got there late, I bet. Double A got there first. He's sore about that a little bit.
And as Mayor Arnold just mentioned, they are the only two players in the history of the National Basketball League of Canada to reach those milestones, and they're on the same team.
And they've been on the same team before, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah, kind of a neat story. These two players playing here together in 2018, and a very nice moment. There's a look at these very nice memento for these players. I'm sure they'll hang proudly somewhere in their homes. Al Stewart and Anthony Anderson. And as you mentioned, talking to Al Stewart before the game, these two guys have known each other for a long time. They actually played against one another first back in 2008 in the ABA down in the United States. Al Stewart played for the Corning Bulldogs, and Double A played for the Manchester Mill Rats. And the first time they played against one another, Al said they dropped about 40 points each.
They both went for 40 apiece. Yeah, kept going back at each other.
And then, as fate would have it, the Corning Bulldogs folded. Al Stewart went home, wasn't sure what he was going to do. And then the Manchester Mill Rats gave Al a call. Next thing you know, back in 2008 in the ABA, Al Stewart, Anthony Anderson playing together. And Al said, as soon as they got together, as soon as they met, it was a great friendship, a match kind of made in basketball heaven, if you will, and kind of neat to see them 10 years later having this ceremony at center court in the Coliseum, celebrating a wonderful milestone.
And we'll let the light show introduce the starters for your Magic tonight. A little different starting lineup. And getting back to that, I dare say that's the easiest move the Manchester Mill Rats GM ever made. The pro basketball team of Al Stewart folds. I think I'm it's a race to the phone, I think, as the GM in that league to see who can get Al on board quickest, wouldn't you think, Scott?
I'd have to say absolutely, and how fortunate the fans of the Moncton Magic are, as well as the coaches and the ownership here with the Magic, to have both of those gentlemen on the same team. And you know, sometimes, not that you take it for granted, but we're around these guys all the time. We get to see them all the time. We talk to them before and after the games. But really remarkable accomplishment for both of these players to be able to reach those milestones when you think about it. Of course, Al has much more than 1,000 points, but again, to reach that triple of 1,000 each in points, rebounds, and assists, quite remarkable at any level, but certainly in professional basketball.
And both these guys as point guards are in the top 5 all-time in the league in rebounds and could actually move higher on that list tonight. Al Stewart's actually 6 rebounds, I think, out of 3rd place on the all-time list entering this game tonight. So, you know, and that's got a lot to do with longevity and playing, you know, 6-7 years in this league. But I mean, look, you have to be a consistent performer to put up numbers, and they're accumulating those numbers with solid play, that's for sure. And it's continuing again this year, and they're going to try to bring that to the playoffs. I imagine they're high up on the playoff scoring list too. But all that matters to them is a championship, and all that matters to Coach Salerno is a championship. We talked a lot about that in the Periscope pregame, and we'll get into that during the broadcast too.
So worth mentioning for the St. John Riptide, a couple of key players not in the lineup tonight. Coach Taroba saying that they're fine, they're healthy, he's just giving them a little bit of rest. That would be Jeremiah Morty, not in the lineup, and Mo Isom. So a couple of key players, a couple of regulars not in the lineup for Coach Taroba. So these two teams get set to go here. It's been a pretty hard-nosed battle between these two all season long. The St. John Riptide actually holding the edge in victories over the Moncton Magic. 5 wins for the Riptide, 2 wins for the Moncton Magic. So certainly the Moncton Magic, they want to finish out the regular season here with a victory at home in front of their largest crowd of the season, and we are underway. Great to have you with us here from the Coliseum. First shot for the Riptide, no good. There's Juan Patillo doing what he does best, grabbing a rebound.
And you're going to see a lot of shots up from Malcolm Miller tonight. He destroyed the Magic defense the last time they were in this building, and they went to him right off the bat. It was a nicely designed play, just in and out.
So the Moncton Magic fans on their feet here. They've been doing this now for the second half of this season, not sitting down till a bucket is scored. And there's Terry right at the shot clock buzzer. Shot rims out. Horace Wormley, he was shut down the last time the Riptide were in this building. Coach Taroba hoping for a little better result from Horace tonight. Here is Wormley, kicks it down to Otieno down on the side. He puts it in toward the paint, kicks it over into the corner. Shot put up from over there, rattles in and out. And rebounded by the Magic. They come back the other way. Here's Corey Allman, had that huge game in Halifax last week. Brent Jennings. Jennings kicks it out. There's Allman from outside. Corey lets the fans sit down and dials the long distance operator. Corey Allman for 3.
And that's a rare defensive mistake by St. John. You don't want to give Corey any daylight on something like that to get him going early. And he's been shooting the lights out the last 3 games for the Magic.
Red path again as the Riptide try that corner 3. Shots no good. Terry Thomas with pace back the other way. All the way goes Terry. Shot wasn't any good. And Malcolm Miller grabs that ball. He was electrifying the last time he was in this building for the Riptide. Turns it over though. Nice positioning by Brent Jennings. Here's Corey from the other side. Now Corey couldn't get the range on that one. Ali Ahmed grabs the rebound, and Malcolm Miller brings it up over the timeline.
Good playmaking from Brent Jennings early here. Set up Corey Allman twice with good looks.
So 3-0 here, early stages of this first quarter. Ahmed hits it from outside the arc, so Ali Ahmed gets the first points of the game. It's a 2-pointer for the Riptide.
And he can make that one. You want to get in his grill, make him put the ball on the floor. He's not as effective off the bounce as he is. He can make that. Stands it still.
Here's Patillo, baseline against Ahmed, kisses it off glass, and then Juan Patillo, who is certainly feeling very comfortable now, and Coach Taroba calls timeout here with 9:27 left to go, so an early timeout for Coach Taroba.
Yeah, and that was almost shockingly easy. When you look at Juan Patillo sometimes, when he puts the ball on the floor or goes up for a rebound or a dunk, that explosive athletic ability that he has. Ali Ahmed is a big dude. And he's a load down low, and he's a solid defender one-on-one like that. you get him into space, and it gets a bit rough for Ali. But one-on-one like that, in the post, he's usually a very effective, and Juan just put the body into him and shook him off like it was a mosquito on that one.
Well, Ali Ahmed wasn't part of the St. John Riptide team at the beginning of the year, but he's certainly been a key contributor now. He stands second on the team in scoring at 13.4 a game, and also second in rebounds, grabbing 6.3 boards a game. So he's been a real key contributor for this St. John Riptide squad.
Yeah, and he just didn't fit down. I talked to Coach Rob Spahn in Cape Breton about him a little bit. He just didn't fit with what their system was. He had good things to say about Ali, but just the system that he likes to run, he struggled a little bit defensively with their switches and wanting to be a little bit more mobile than he is. He's got some mobility, but what they were asking him to do just didn't quite fit. So when they put him on the waiver wire, St. John was glad to bring him on board. He's a little bit better fit, obviously, with what they do. Their defense hasn't slacked at all with him in the lineup, and like you say, getting 13 and 6 out of a guy in his position is nothing to sneeze at all.
Should mention our officiating crew this evening as well. Three-man crew of Ryan Lutz, Darren Dow, and Paul Hansen. So with 9:27 left to go in this first quarter, we are just underway. Scott Squires, Dave Tingley, glad to have you along. And we talked about it in our Periscope pregame, but certainly two teams with a little different approach to tonight's game in terms of what's on the line. The Moncton Magic have already locked down the second seed in the Atlantic Division. They are going to open up the playoffs at home. What we don't know and what the Magic don't know is who they're going to play. Will it be the Riptide? Will it be the Island Storm? The Island Storm have one game left, the Riptide with two, so the Riptide could basically control their own fate and lock up the 3 seed.
Yeah, with a couple of wins, that's for sure, but they're resting guys tonight, and so you read into what you will on that. They don't care what seed they're in. If I'm them, I would. They're much more successful against Moncton, at least in the regular season, they have been against Halifax. But, I guess Coach Taroba's mindset is we're going to give guys rest when we think that they need them to make sure that they're healthy no matter who we're seeing. The goal is a championship, not to get past, not to worry about who you're seeing in what round, I guess, for him, which is a valid outlook as a coach.
So everybody on the Riptide kind of had a touch there on that offensive set, but they couldn't get the bucket. Moncton comes back the other way. Here's Anthony Anderson, fresh off that nice ceremony, recognizing his accomplishments along with his teammate Al Stewart. Baseline shot from Patillo, and the big man, David, he really does have a smooth stroke.
And it's that huge high-arcing thing that's impossible to block and has such a soft touch, and he gets the roll on it. When he's going, then that jumper's going, and he's making moves to the hoop the way he did earlier. That's going to be rough for anybody to stop.
Terry picked that ball off on the baseline, tried to throw it back out toward the paint as he was going out of bounds, but it went into the hands of Kenny Otieno.
And that's when you got to eat if you're Terry, and I think he's kind of saying that to the bench. He knows better than that. He's got to eat that ball, just go out of bounds with it, give the ball to St. John out of bounds instead of throwing it in kind of up for grabs underneath the basket.
That first free throw from Otieno goes off the back of the iron. First trip to the line for Kenny.
How about the playmaking so far, Brent Jennings? Just dropping dimes all over the place. He could have 4 assists here early if Corey had made a second wide open 3, which I know he'd tell you he should have made. So Brent, he was a guy that was kind of persona non grata here for a bit during a stretch, but if he can show some play here tonight, and there he goes again, that was a good move just off the back of the rim, but it's an important game for him tonight to kind of feel good going to the playoffs.
There's that defense again. Terry Thomas, always a nose for that ball as he went high into the air to intercept that interior pass. Anthony Anderson now for the Magic. 8 minutes left in this first quarter. It's a 7-3 lead for the Moncton Magic. Patillo looking for somewhere to go, gets it to Brent Jennings. Jennings following him on social media. He's been feeling very good about the work he's been doing. Feels he's got a lot more energy and a lot more bounce and spring in his step as Patillo, speaking of bounce and spring, right off the glass and in. And so far, Juan Patillo leaving his stamp on this game early.
Yeah, that quick second jump that he's got. He's just that explosiveness we've talked about. He just can abuse guys down low without it when he puts his mind to it.
Boris Wormley, he slows things down now, directs some traffic. 8 seconds on the shot clock for the Riptide. Bit of a screen from Ahmed, not much of one though. Wormley baseline, they're out of time. Miller, one pass too many perhaps, as the shot clock expires, and Ahmed in frustration puts the hands up to his head, I should say, and a bit of a frustrating. That's a couple of times now where the Riptide have had really good ball movement and everybody kind of getting a touch, but they're just not getting a good look at the basket.
Yeah, they're slow getting into it a little bit, but then the Magic are doing a better job, kind of the job they did a couple games ago when they shut down Horace Wormley, of having him coming off that roll, looking at a bunch of bodies.
And Juan Patillo, my goodness. Brent Jennings and Juan Patillo teaming up there, and Juan effortlessly puts the one-handed slam through the bucket. Warmly now darting around, zipping and zapping through a crowd.
Is that
Corey Allman guarding him, Horace.
Is that Brent Jennings out there or Steve Nash tonight?
That rolls around the rim. Ollie Ahmed does a good job, gets it and puts it off the glass. Nice work there by Ollie.
That's what he does on the offensive glass. That's how effective, that's how he can be effective in a game like this. Just put his body down there, gather up those offensive rebounds, and put it back up with a soft touch, which he's got.
11-5, Magic lead. 6:23 left to go, quarter number one. Here's Patillo. He's had a good start. There's the smooth jumper again, and Ahmed was right there in front of him. And there's the look you see all the time when a player gets a foul called. Hands outstretched, palms up in front of them going, what?
And the unblemished record of refs not overturning their own calls continues. He was asking for a, they're not going to go to the, replay over here and change their call, but I mean, that's it's kind of what happens when a guy's abusing you early the way Patillo has been doing to Ahmed. You kind of get that extra, I got to get that hand up a little bit closer to get your hand in his face, and yeah, he got him on the wrist, it looked like, for sure.
Brandon Bowdry checks into the game for the Riptide, along with Taquane Gord. 6:15 left, quarter number one. Regular season finale and the final home game of the regular season for the Moncton Magic. Here's Redpath for the Riptide. Spins around, Thomas right in his face, and they're going to say that it went off of Redpath and out of bounds, so good defense there by the Moncton Magic, get the turnover.
And Terry actually pressured him into a double dribble before they got the second turnover on the same play, so got away with one and then turned it over anyway.
Double A, nice bounce pass to Patillo, quick kick out, Thomas, corner. Off the front of the rim, Malcolm Miller there to get that rebound right in front of Brent Jennings. Here's Malcolm Miller. Dishes it off to Redpath, and another turnover as the Riptide just look a little bit out of sync right now, David.
Yeah, a little bit, and they're what they were doing effectively, and Moncton has taken advantage of Moncton mistakes and missed shots the other night and getting some early offense. But tonight, a little bit of yeah, with these guys being out of the lineup, a little bit of maybe unfamiliarity with some of these five-guy matchups here.
Ball was turned over warmly right around midcourt, and Anthony Anderson raises up the hand and says, yeah, that's me, so the foul will go on Anthony. That's his first.
Well, that's a play you're seeing more and more in pro basketball. It started in Europe back in the day, and when the European teams came to North America and played against them and showed that play, that defensive strategy of grabbing a guy when you don't have numbers. That's more and more prevalent in this side of the ocean in professional ball as well. You'll see that a lot.
5:20 left, quarter number one. 13-5 Magic lead as Warmly takes it in, and a big size mismatch there as Denzel Taylor hovering over top of the diminutive Warmly.
Yeah, 6 turnovers and a couple of blocks here defensively already the Magic have forced, so St. John having a rough time.
Warmly all the way outside over Miller. And that's going to be an over and back, so another turnover here.
That's 7, and you'll see, and I know some people are watching this after watching some NCAA games, that play is allowed in the NCAA. You can go back over half to retrieve an inbounds pass, which is a weird rule in my opinion, but never enjoyed it, but not in this league.
Anthony Anderson steps up, front of the rim, back of the rim, rebounded by Malcolm Miller. Miller over on that wing for Warmly. Running a bit of a screen there was Gord. Warmly steps back. He'll kick it up high now for Miller. Miller gets everybody going where he wants. Darren Mency into the game now. 55 in blue for the Riptide. And Warmly takes it in strong, goes down to the deck, but gets the bucket. Nice move from Horace.
And he wanted a hit there as well.
Here's Terry right back the other way, and quick transition for the Magic. While the Riptide were trying to catch up, Terry was already underneath the basket and gets the 2 points. 15-7 Magic lead.
Smart move by Terry there, going to the opposite side, using the rim as other defender from the shot blocker.
Here's Mency. This second of the home and home series. St. John won the other night. Magic looking to answer back, and Gord wide open underneath. Nice dish inside, and nobody around number 10 in blue, Taquane Gord, and he gets the easy bucket.
And he's really come into his own these games since the last time he played here. He's had some strong games for St. John, scoring the ball a little bit, looking a little bit more comfortable with his teammates.
Denzel in a crowd.
Look at Horace Wormley battling down there, making it tough on Denzel even to catch that pass. And Horace is asking for the offensive foul, saying he was wrapping his arms around me.
Mentioned this is the second game of a home-and-home, dubbed the Battle of the 506. Corey Almond outside, couldn't quite get the range, bounces around. Wormley with the rebound. Wormley with pace, flies into the paint, goes up, gets the bucket, and he's gonna go to the line. Horace Wormley, like he was shot out of a cannon.
Yeah, you see why they call him the Gingerbread Man? Best nickname in the NBLC as far as I'm concerned, and that's why. Catch me if you can. I'm the Gingerbread Man, and nobody could on that one. Laid it in with a hit, and somehow St. John, despite all these turnovers, is going to be within 3 here if he knocks this one down, and he probably will, because he's a great free throw shooter. And I didn't jinx him.
Horace hits. So the Riptide trying to pull a little bit closer here. Just the one possession game now. 15-12. Moncton Magic in the lead. 3:45 left in this first quarter. Corey Almond well out high. Jay Will runs the screen. He likes to shoot it from there, but dishes off to Al instead. Al steps in from about 17 feet. That's no good. Rebounded there, and coming away with it are the Riptide. This is Bowdry. Bowdry steps in toward the paint, backs off, gives it off to Mency. Mency being watched there by Terry Thomas. Terry goes off to the side. Mency, oh my goodness, talk about shot out of a cannon. I don't know if he meant to fire it that fast, but everybody went ducking in the first 3 rows in the crowd as that was a misfire.
That kids basketball team we were referring to before the game that we saw it arrived, they just somebody's got some good hands on that team. Make that guy one of the post players. He can catch a pass.
And that was a bullet. It just was about 4 rows too far. Terry Thomas hits from the outside. Terry looking smooth.
Yeah, he was feeling that one. He loved it.
18-12. Moncton has gotten the lead back up to 6. Jason Caliste getting ready to check into the game now for the Moncton Magic. Malcolm Miller puts it on the floor. Dribbles and then steps back. Terry Thomas was there defensively. Shot rattles out. And Al Stewart now comes, gives it off to Jeremy Williams, and Williams going into the paint. He gets fouled. And you know, Bowdry was right there.
You know, Jay Will's eyes got large. He said before the game he wanted to throw down a tomahawk highlight slam for us tonight. He doesn't feel like he's given us enough highlights this year, and he had big eyes on that one, but Bowdry was quick enough with his hands to knock it away. But I love in these matchups to watch the minutes that Al Stewart and Horace Wormley share the floor. They go at each other so hard, and Horace, it's like a shock to the system. He goes off that screen, and there's Al chest to chest with him on that first play, and they do that a lot. They go at each other, and it's fun to watch, and they really enjoy playing against each other, these two.
Jeremy Williams misses the first. 6-point lead for the Magic, 18-12. Scott Squires, Dave Tingley on a Saturday night, and for those of you who celebrated, we want to wish you a very happy Easter, and for those of you who also observe it, happy Passover as well. A great crowd here on a Saturday night at the Moncton Coliseum. Last day of March. April Fool's tomorrow, Dave. Good thing we're not doing the broadcast, or you'd be in trouble on April Fool's.
Well, that sounds ominous. Hopefully it stays that way.
In a fun way. Terry Thomas in against a crowd. And so far tonight, Dave, I know we talked a little bit about how the Riptide seem a little disjointed. On the other side, it really seems that everybody on the Magic really engaged.
Yeah, they are, and this is, I mean, look, this is professional basketball. If you're showing up to a game, I mean, I know we talked about them maybe looking forward and maybe the playoffs as being the only thing that matters and resting some guys tonight and it not being anything in the standings, but they're a professional basketball team, and I know these guys were excited about having this record-setting crowd here tonight for a Moncton basketball franchise in this building. So 0 for 2, pardon me, goes Terry, but a clumsy pass there from St. John.
Al leans in, and Al Stewart, not the first time we've seen him do that, take it in toward the glass and just kiss it up and off the backboard. Al Stewart with a bucket.
You make a clumsy pass in the presence of Al Stewart and Terry Thomas, you're going to pay for it.
21-12, Bowdry puts it on the floor, tries to dribble penetration into a crowd and turns it over. And I'm not sure how many turnovers is. They're getting up close to double digits in turnovers, are the Riptide.
Yeah, it says 9, but that's, I think we're missing one there. Yeah, we were stuck on 7. There's been 3 since. That's my count. And there goes Jay Will getting the call
Although I guess that technically wasn't a turnover because it must have ended up going off of
True,
a
yeah,
Magic player, so the Riptide have it out of bounds.
Yeah, Bowdry was a little upset. He thought he was held, and that might have been a situation where it's either the referees look at the Magic and say, well, look, I could have called a foul, maybe, but I decided to cut them some slack and just give St. John the ball. Sometimes the refs kind of make an educated guess there. And
so Gord didn't seem overly happy. He takes a seat on the bench for Coach Taroba. Marvin Binney into the game now. He wears 6 and blue for the Riptide. He's also out there with Brian Addison seeing his first action. Addison steps back from about 14 feet. Couldn't get the range on the shot. Jeremy Williams back the other way. Here's Caliste all the way across to the wing for Al Stewart. Al out to Williams. He likes that spot. There's Jay Will. Couldn't get it to go, but that's where he's most comfortable shooting that ball, is from right around that spot on the floor.
And Riptide got to feel a little bit like the Washington Generals out here right now. They're kind of just clumsy and keeping and look, they're lucky to be within 9 at this point. The points off of turnovers are 14-0 right now with the 9 turnovers to 1 and missed shots. So listen, they're fortunate to be where they are, and they're such a good, solid team at the defensive end of the floor. You got to think that they're going to have a run in them here, so the Magic have got to take advantage of these opportunities.
Here's Jeremy, leans in off the glass, and right now, hard time shooting the ball as well for the Riptide, shooting just 38% from the floor. And Jeremy Williams draws that foul. He's going to go to the line to shoot a couple more. Meanwhile, just to our left, Al Stewart over having a quick chat with his coach, Joe Salerno. Coach Salerno looking very dapper this evening.
And he got on me about my choice of outfit tonight, not having enough pastel colors for Easter. And listen, I'm wearing Magic colors. Magic are gray and black, and just because I'm dressed to look like I could go be a funeral doesn't mean I can't be a basketball commentator as well.
I think you look dandy, Dave.
Thank you.
Marvell Waith comes over to the timekeeper's table. He's going to check in shortly. Jeremy gets that second one to drop, and with that, Marvell Waith, 24 in white, will come in. Terry Thomas will take a brief breather for the Moncton Magic. 23-12 is your score. St. John pulled within 1 possession a while ago, but since then, Moncton have stretched out the lead once again. They've got it back up to double digits at 11 with 1:13 to go in the first quarter.
Well, they've started to give the ball back to the Magic again, and there they go. Now they're in double-figure turnovers already.
Here comes Al with speed. Gets it to Jeremy Williams. He backs in Redpath. Good battle there in the paint as Aaron Redpath and Jeremy Williams was coming together. Also helping out was Bowdry for the Riptide.
Yeah, a lot of small lineups so far for St. John. They found themselves in matchup issues, and Jay Will and Brent Jennings in particular have backed in smaller guys, as has Denzel, gotten a couple fouls, backed in smaller guys, and abused them a little bit there in the post.
1 minute left in the quarter. Al Stewart, 11 seconds on the shot clock. Calise steps into a crowd and floats it up and in. Jason Calise.
That was a pretty teardrop from Jason Calise. You're a pro basketball player at the guard position. You got to have that shot in your bag, and Calise does. That was gorgeous.
The lead now a Baker's dozen at 13. Here's Bowdry. Goes behind the back. Al Stewart was there defensively. Down to the floor, and Al forces the turnover. Here's Marvell. Takes it in strong, and up and in Marvell Waite.
And they are getting unhappy, are the Riptide, with the physical play of the Magic not being called. But I mean, the refs have set an example of how things are going to be called tonight. And Al Stewart, he's going to be handsy with you. You got to be prepared to be more tougher with the ball than that.
Mency from well downtown, front of the iron. Rebound down to the floor. Al was there, but it ends up into the hands of Bowdry. 5 seconds on the shot clock, and the quarter up off the glass, and Bowdry looks intense as he took that in strong, and that foul's going to go on Al Stewart, and Bowdry will go to the line to shoot 2.
Yeah, and he earned that one. Bowdry, I think, he's been on the officials a little bit, but he's been, kind of playing with that ball out in front of him, and we talked about, you can't be lazy with the pass in the presence of Al Stewart and Terry Thomas amongst others. You can't be lazy with your dribble in the presence of 2 times Al Stewart.
So the first from Brandon is good. There's 2.7 seconds left in the quarter, so a little bit of time for the Magic to work with based on the outcome of this second shot. It's 27-13, Magic in the lead. They're going to have to be quick. Here's Al, takes a quick peek, lofts it up. Well, he hit the backboard, but that's all. So the first quarter comes to an end, and a pretty good one for the Moncton Magic. They started strong. Riptide made a bit of a run, but then the Magic turned up the defensive pressure again, and you sprinkle in a few St. John Riptide turnovers, and the result is a 27-13 14-point advantage after one quarter for Moncton.
And it's not often you say that it's a 14-point spread, and they're lucky to be within 14. But, I mean, you look at these ugly numbers for the Riptide in the first quarter, 5 for 14 for 35% shooting. 11-1 is the turnover margin, and 18-0 the points off of turnovers. So, you just got to hold your nose if you're the coaching staff of St. John and say, okay, second quarter's about to start. Let's focus on that and forget that 12 minutes took place.
Leading scorer for the Riptide in that first quarter, Horace Warmley with 5, Ali Ahmed right behind with 4, and for the Moncton Magic, a great start for Juan Patillo, and he ended up with 10 points in the quarter. Terry Thomas with 5. And Juan Patillo, Dave, he's now first on this team in rebounding at 7.1 a game. And every game we see Juan play, he's just more and more comfortable.
Yeah, and he still has some moments where he finds himself uncertain a little bit. But when he gets that aggressive note going on a specific play, it's breathtaking the way that physicality just takes over, and he skies to the rim and collects rebounds with a second jump and finishes over guys and gets that soft jumper off over guys trying to block it, and he just got such a physical advantage over almost anybody in the post in this league. It's fun to watch, and when he gets that aggression behind him, it adds that second level. So he's got to stop thinking twice about things and just go with his gut, and that's what the team wants him to do.
Something exciting happening this evening as well. You get to see it on YouTube all the time, but we are actually going to get to see a half-court shot for $2,000 tonight. Some lucky recipient. There's going to be a random draw made during the first half, and whoever gets their ticket or their seat drawn is going to have a chance. They're going to have 24 seconds to hit a half-court shot for $2,000, and I think that's happening between the third and fourth quarter.
Do our seats count?
I hope
seats
so.
In the draw?
I hope so.
Okay, they better be.
I'll split it with you if I hit it.
I'm not splitting it with you, so I don't know why you're doing that, but okay.
We are underway in the second quarter. Here's Patillo looking to pick up where he started. Tried to go along the baseline with it. And Juan, that ever-present bright white mouth guard, hanging out of his mouth, getting chewed on.
Sometimes that's the trouble with Juan. He's got that athletic ability, but sometimes he can just put his shoulder into you, 1-2 dribbles, and he's at the rim.
Here's Jeremy Williams. Red path on him, scoops it over to Khalees from well downtown, back of the rim. Rebound to Al Stewart, and Al puts it up and in. Mincy wanted a foul call, I think, but didn't get it, and Al is the recipient of that rebound right underneath.
Felt that Marvell went over his back a little bit there.
Mincy with the ball now. Speaking of Marvell, he's on him defensively, gets it out to Redpath, up high. Now it's Addison. Spins on that pivot foot, puts the shot up and in. Brian Addison with the bucket there.
Yeah, he and Ahmed both have that shot. If you're a big guy on the big guys of St. John, you got to give him respect from that distance.
Jeremy Williams palms that ball. Malcolm Miller watching him inside to Marvell Waith. Waith spins around. That little soft shot, no good. And Waith eyeballing the referee all the way back up the floor. Meanwhile, Mincy over on the side, and he steps out of bounds. He was wide open there on the wing, Dave, but again, another uncharacteristic turnover for this Riptide team.
Most of these turnovers have been just that, uncharacteristic, really sloppy stuff from St. John.
It's a 14-point lead for Moncton, 29-15 here, just underway in this second quarter. Al Stewart pointing out where he wants his mates to go. Gives it off to Jeremy Williams, who's on the baseline. Malcolm Miller puts his palm right on Jeremy's forehead. Gets it off to Patillo now, right back to Jeremy Williams. Open. Miller closed the distance quickly and hindered that shot just enough that Jeremy didn't get the look he wanted.
Sometimes Jeremy's got that physical advantage, works his way into the post and then kicks it out. He's athletic enough and strong enough to go up in that paint and finish over guys like that.
Redpath weaving through a crowd. Tried to scoop it to Addison, and there's the defense again of the Magic. Khalees behind the back, up ahead for Stewart to Patillo, and Juan leans in and falling down there, and Coach Taroba absolutely infuriated on that Riptide sideline.
Oh yeah, is he ever? And he has reason to be. That one was beautifully played defensively inside, and I think that should have been a charge, but a little bit maybe a feeling of a payback. I think Marvell got bumped pretty good on the previous one, And I think they were going to give Ty goes to Moncton on the next close call in there maybe, and that's the only explanation because he was clearly there, and I think he was out, looked to me like well outside that restricted area as well.
And meanwhile, while Juan Patillo hits the first, over on the Riptide sideline to our right, Coach Taroba still in the ear of the referee, Ryan Lutz.
And I give credit to Lutz and to Taroba there. Taroba spoke his piece, and Lutz walked away, even though he was getting an earful. And they both calmed down and came together and had a pretty good discussion there, I think. So well done by the referee and by Coach Taroba on that one.
Yeah, that's a good point for sure. Meanwhile, Patillo hit his shots. 31-15, just under 10 minutes left here. And a nice smooth stroke again is Addison. And Addison, maybe a bit of a mockery there for Corey Allman as Addison pulls out the phone.
Really interesting.
That is interesting. Let's keep an eye on that.
I think you got to make a 3 there, Mr. Addison, to get in the conversation. But
yeah, that's right. That's really just a local call when you're hitting it from where Brian Addison's hitting them.
I gotta say, I like the attitude though. I gotta respect it.
Why not? And Marvin Binney goes right into the grill of Al Stewart, and he's going to go to the line. And now it's Addison calling his teammates over. Brian Addison looks like he's making the decision here to be a cheerleader and a leader for this Riptide team and maybe try and pull them together.
Yeah, and that's kind of a questionable one there, too. It looked like Binney dropped a shoulder on Al and then went up, and I think definitely Al got a piece of the hand, but looked like that shoulder was trouble.
Well, it's interesting as well. We talked about the fact that as Binney hits the first, Moncton doesn't know who they're going to play, but you know it's got to be in the back of both of these coaches' minds and both of the team's minds, the players on the floor, to maybe leave a bit of a lasting impression in this game just in case they meet in the playoffs starting next week.
Well, sure, and then the guys, like we talked about, the guys on this floor are professional basketball players, and if they're out on the floor, they can't let the effort slide, because that's, I mean, oftentimes you talk about guys that just playing the game, getting hurt. It's more often if you're playing the game at not max level that you get hurt. That's a kind of a dangerous thing. So these guys are on the floor. They're going to be playing hard because they want to make sure that if they're going to be on the floor, they're playing the right way, because that's how you avoid injuries most of all. So you can't go into a game worried about being injured. Get out on the floor, you play hard. These guys are.
9:07 to go, 12 seconds on the shot clock for the Riptide. Binney, Addison going to try it again. Addison can't take the phone out of his pocket that time. 31-19, 12-point lead for the Moncton Magic. Brent Jennings looking for somewhere to go. Now it's Marvell Waith. He just steps right into that one. Both teams a little cold here from the floor. That rebound grabbed by Marvin Binney.
Yeah, they're a collective 2 for 14 from the three-point line of these teams so far.
Addison, he's been feeling the jump shot, but decides to give it off to Redpath over on the wing. Redpath works back into the middle, spins in the paint, steps back, shot's no good. Rebound there, and it goes out of bounds as Al Stewart was there battling up against Otieno.
Really well defended there by Waith, just moving his feet. Redpath pounding that ball. Finally got a shot off, but Marvell had a hand in his face.
It'll be inbounded. Full shot clock here for the Riptide. Malcolm Miller, he's open, and he can hit from there. Rims it in and out. Jennings with the rebound, and he'll just give it to Al Stewart.
Love that inbounds play, too. That had second, third, and fourth options on it, and the fourth one was Malcolm Miller, and got him a wide-open 3 with some good, hard screening there by St. John, but Moncton managed to get a hand in his face.
Nice ball movement. Waith got it to Jennings. Jennings put up the left-handed shot, but the southpaw couldn't hit. Binney back the other way. The native of Toronto steps into the lane. And after the whistle, Juan Patillo flew in to swat it away, but the play was whistled down before then, as Ali Ahmed now will check back into the game for the St. John Riptide. Brian Addison will take a seat.
And the Magic offense has gotten a little 3 and turnover friendly here in the last couple minutes. And yeah, that's gotten a little stagnant here, have they? As they did the other night against St. John. And St. John's kind of working their way into it a little bit, being a little more physical here on the offensive end, trying to get to the line.
Binney can't hit the second. That foul was on Juan Patillo. That was his second. 31-20, Moncton Magic lead here with 7:52 left in the half. Scott Squires and Dave Tingley and our NBL Canada crew with you on a Saturday night. Last regular season game, last home game of the regular season for the Moncton Magic. There's the shot from Patillo, no good. Rebound for Malcolm Miller. Miller kind of half steps up the floor, gives it off to Otieno, back to Miller. Redpath now, everybody getting a touch here down in the corner, and that shot is good out of the hands of Marvin Binney, But that was really good ball movement by the offense of the Riptide there, and Binney finished it off.
And excellent patience, too, because they were guarded at will there by the Magic on every single rotation, but you move the ball all the way around, and then Marvell Waite breaks the snide from three-point land. And the Magic are not, that's off one pass. The Magic are not doing the same job that the St. John Riptide are doing down here, moving that ball a little bit better than Magic. They're getting a little stuck with one pass shot from three.
Binney faked the shot, takes it inside instead. Ahmed underneath gets swatted away, and I think Patillo got hit in the face. Al Stewart back the other way and still well behind the play. Juan Patillo still feeling the effects of that collision underneath, and now the referee having a chat with Ali Ahmed as well as Marvell Waith, and Waith still chatting to the referee. Paul Hansen, and Hansen.
And he's giving him a chance to say his piece, but he's got to get out of there if he doesn't want a second tee.
And up coming over to get him away is Brent Jennings, and then Marvell Waith not happy at all. Eyes wide on Marvell as he comes back, and now Coach Joe Salerno trying to get Marvell to settle down. And good job from Brent Jennings to step in there and kind of pull Marvell away from the referee, Paul Hansen.
Yeah, and accumulation of tees and ejections is something you got to stay away from, especially this close to playoffs. You don't want to be looking at suspensions here for a game or something like that for something silly happening in a meaningless game standings-wise. But that was a double tee with a couple of guys getting in the face, and Marvell was upset. He felt Ali Ahmed hit him in the face, and so he had some things to say, and Ali had some things to say back, and had to be separated. And I think the refs did a good job there too. Again, there's a lot of discussion, heated discussion here, going back and forth a little bit. Refs are doing a good job of letting people say their piece and give them a chance to calm down.
Al hits the second. Listen, no lack of intensity in this game tonight between these two teams, regardless of where the standings are and regardless of the fact that Moncton can't change their position in the standings. They're locked into second place. But again, for the Moncton Magic, they know that St. John has handled them well all season long. They definitely have discussed the fact that they want to get a win here tonight and set the tone for the playoffs regardless of who they play.
Yeah, so they're going to be, I think we can already tell there's some couple of guys maybe that aren't playing the same amount of minutes as they would if this was a key game, but there's still, everybody's on the floor here for Moncton. They're playing hard.
Joel Ndondo into the game now, seeing his first action for the Riptide. 34 in blue, gets the nice look under the basket for 2 points. Here's Terry, and Terry tried to make one extra move there, travels with the ball, he turns it over, so a chance now for the Riptide to put a little bit closer here. 6:10 left to go in the half. 36-25, Moncton's led the whole way. St. John have had their moments where they've kind of pulled back close and then Moncton's pulled away again, but the Riptide hanging around here. Redpath dribbled in through a crowd, comes to Otieno. Back to Redpath. Now he plays catch with Otieno from the corner. That was on the inside of the rim, batted around. Malcolm Miller was there, the little left-hand floater, puts it back in.
And then Ndondo got up there with Patillo and got a hand on it, keeping the ball alive there. So Ndondo doing some good things here in his minutes.
Terry Thomas bounces off the rim twice, but no money for him on that one, so the Riptide will come back up the floor with it. This is Binney. 36-27, that one rolls around, tapped by Ndondo, and it goes out of bounds, so it'll be Magic ball.
And we'll see, maybe St. John too. We haven't seen, it's been a bit since we've seen Wormley back in the game. I think if this was a game that Coach Taroba wasn't analyzing minutes too closely, I think Wormley would be back in. So I think we're seeing a little bit maybe of limiting minutes here too for both teams with their star players. So we'll see how this affects. This might come down to a fourth quarter where it's some interesting five-person rotations, some five-person matchups, some pairings and stuff that you wouldn't normally see from both these teams.
Well, part of the big crowd on hand tonight at the Moncton Coliseum are these youth players from, well, none other than the Moncton Hawks.
It's a common theme.
And great moment for these teams, the under-14 Division II girls champions, as well as the under-12 Division IV girls champions. So congratulations to both of those teams, part of the Moncton Hawks youth basketball organization. A great moment here. The players and coaches being honored at center court by the Moncton Magic. Well done.
And being a Riverview native, not that I'd want to step on the glory of the Moncton Hawks, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention the Riverview Royals young guys basketball team here that I visited with before the game, and I have a good friend of mine, Miss Kim Perry, if you're listening. Hello, Kim. And her kids that I know quite well are sitting over there in the stands and hanging out. But their teammates are all out there, and I told them I would mention them live on the air, and they said, well, Cale and Cohen, by the way, those are the Perry brothers sitting over there. And they're, well, what about us? We're going to get our names on the air, aren't we, too?
Of course.
So shout out to Aiden Ogilvie, Jack Allen, Mitchell Sprague, Chase Nagel, Declan Court, Logan Cormier, Eshin McDonald, who wanted me to say he's the defensive god, and everybody else on the list wanted me to call them the best point guard on the team. Apparently, there's five-way tie for that, and Aiden Milley. So shout out, guys. Thanks for coming out, the Riverview Royals. And there, you're all in the air, and you're all defensive gods or great point guards.
I think we should show up at their school and get them to mention us in the morning announcements.
That's only fair, I think.
That's payback, right?
And Matt Ogilvie, the coach, too, by the way, a good buddy of mine going back a long ways. And Matt sets a great screen for a good three-point shooter like me.
Well, a great moment for all the youth basketball players, for, of course, the Moncton Hawks 2 girls championship teams that were here, as well as the Riverview Royals, who are in attendance here that you mentioned. Here's Anthony Cox. Nice to see him back in the lineup for the Moncton Magic. His first shot's no good. But again, big 41 in white. Anthony Cox, the Ant-Man. Great to see him back on the floor and active for the Moncton Magic. 4:50 to go in the half. Warmly being guarded by Thomas. Now it's Redpath for the Riptide. 8 seconds on the shot clock. Aaron trying to find somewhere to go with it. He backs it in now. Steps way back, puts up the shot there, rolls around. Williams had the rebound, but it goes into Indondo. And a fresh shot clock now for the Riptide. Warmly looking for somewhere to go now. It's Miller. Miller, a little fake step, steps back. Shot right now. The Riptide just can't buy one. And Anthony Anderson will get the rebound.
Yeah, good box out there by AA, and good defense there, too, by Corey Allman on Redpath.
Anthony steps up. Shot's no good. Both teams a little chilly from the floor right now.
Especially from three-point range. And this is a storyline sometimes for the Magic. They get caught in these. They're such talented guys shooting the ball. And this is, you look at the other end, and here's what St. John's doing, putting their head down a little bit, trying to get to the line. And they're doing a more effective job offensively in the last few minutes than are the Magic.
So Anthony Cox into the game. Gets a foul call on him. That's his first. And, of course, if you've been following the Moncton Magic home broadcast with myself and Dave, you'd know that Anthony Cox has set a theme right from the beginning of the year. He likes the old-school cartoon socks.
Cox's socks.
And he told us tonight, and I see as I look over to my left, he's these socks are great. They are Chucky from Rugrats, and actually the hair part of the sock, the actual wool, is actually sticking out like a 3D sock. So Chucky's got quite the do going on Anthony Cox's socks here. 36-29, Moncton Magic lead, under 4 minutes to play in the half. Anthony Anderson being watched by Warmly. Anthony steps around, tishes it to Jeremy. Now it's Corey Allman. 9 seconds on the shot clock. Malcolm Miller putting some good defense on Corey, but he goes right in toward the basket. Bounces around. Anthony Cox was there, tried to get a hand on it, and it goes down to the floor. And the ball will be turned over to the Riptide.
And St. John's getting some second shot opportunities, getting to the line a little bit more lately, taking care of the ball a little better. All things that the Magic aren't doing quite as well, and they've crept back. You look up at the scoreboard, all of a sudden it's a low-scoring St. John type game, and they're within 7. This is what they do. They muck it up and make it difficult.
Here's Indondo. Bounces it to Warmly. Warmly goes right around Allman, then steps back, puts up the high arcing shot. Terry Thomas manhandles that rebound, and he'll come up the floor. Here's Terry. He likes to go coast to coast. Went in there against 2 or 3 Riptide defenders and had the ball stripped away, and now he's questioning the call here from the official Darren Dow.
They're letting a lot of contact go. They're letting a lot of contact go, and they've done so since the start of the game. And both coaches are getting in the grill of the referees here as we go to break.
And now Paul Hansen down just to our left talking to Coach Joe Salerno. So the referees have had a fair bit of conversation time this evening with the players and the coaches, and now Coach Salerno not at all happy with whatever the conversation was with Paul Hansen.
Well, it seemed pretty clear. I mean, it seemed pretty clear. Looked like a full 2-hand grab on Terry's arm and a yank on the way to the guy. But look, sometimes with a lot of bodies, and you talked about there's a lot of bodies in there, it can be difficult to see everything, right?
Well, it's interesting, and a lot of times it can depend on the officiating crew, the flow of the game. I go back, we talked, I think we referenced it on the Periscope pregame or maybe in this game, but the NCAA Women's Final Four. Both of those games last night, the commentating crew, more often than not, would see a foul or would see contact, would see the replay, and they would go, that was a foul.
Yeah.
That was a foul, but it wasn't called.
It wasn't called.
So it can be the crew, the flow of the game. A lot of factors can dictate it, but to your point, certainly seems a lot of contact tonight that's being, well, I don't know if it's missed or just let go, but both coaches are having their say.
And by the way, too, if the guys' Final Four tonight is as entertaining as the girls was last night, holy moly.
Yeah, that
was great stuff. 2 OT games and excellent play, and Canadians doing well with Kia Nurse. It was fun to watch, and I hope I'm looking forward to the Final Four tonight after we get out of here too.
Yeah, great basketball all weekend long, not only here at the Moncton Coliseum, but a great time of year to be a basketball fan. Playoffs just around the corner here in the NBL as Corey rattles it around, and look at Malcolm Miller get position and grab that rebound. Now it's Wormley. Riptide back the other way. Horace shifting through a crowd. Tried to penetrate inside, kicks it back to Malcolm Miller, who goes in. Wormley from the corner. Shot's no good. Jeremy was there for the rebound. Then it comes down as Bowdry was there as well. 2:57 left to go in the half. 36-29. And it seems that Moncton's been kind of stuck around 36 for a while now.
Yeah, it's been a slog for them on this end of the floor. They're just not getting the shots they want. And there's a turnover. And right between the wickets, between two three-point shooters at the line.
Well, the term I used earlier in this half for the Riptide was disjointed. It would seem now that Moncton just a little bit disjointed, at least on their offensive sets.
Absolutely, and they're settling. Like we're talking about, they're shooting a lot of three-point shots. So St. John is getting three-point. The three-point shots they're getting are more wide open off of movement and passes, and good defense there though by Terry.
Yeah, Miller elevated, tried the little baby hook shot. Moncton, Anderson now to Corey Almond. Corey, shifty in a crowd, steps back against three defenders. Corey Almond will take it.
And that is their first points, and I timed it 5 minutes and 20 seconds. That's the first points on the board since then, since the 7:44 mark of this second quarter for the Magic.
Here's Otieno. Penetration into the paint, had the ball stripped away, but it ends up into the hands of Otieno once again, and he'll go to the line.
Now the good news for the Magic, we're in those 5 or so minutes, the Riptide were only managed to put 4 points up on the board, so there wasn't that much damage done, but Otieno sneaks him a little closer here, and he's a guy getting a Canadian tonight, getting a lot more run than he's used to with this, and that was one shot, and what the Magic were doing is, yeah, that was a lot of confusion there, and the referees are going to get together. And Kenny Otenio was the only one that knew what was going on. He knew he only had one shot because it was an and one.
And now,
but the referees, I think, signaled 2 before they gave it to Otenio.
So Ryan Lutz and Paul Hansen, 2 of the officials, got together and had a chat, and now we'll see if we can listen in. All right, how much of that did you hear, Dave?
All of it. So he's saying that it was one shot, but everybody was still startled by what happened. They blew the whistle after Otenio got the rebound, so they're canceling the relay in because the whistle went, but they're giving St. John possession because they earned it off the rebound.
All right, so to reset, 2:02 left in the half. Fresh shot clock for the Riptide, and it's a 38-31 lead for the Magic. Wormley zips it all the way to Miller. He takes the shot from the corner, and Malcolm Miller hits the triple. Yeah, big shot there for the Riptide.
He's been a Magic killer in this Coliseum, and it's continuing, and he just settled himself at the line, and just great decision-making by Wormley there off that screen roll.
Patillo, quick pass to Thomas, puts the shot up with a hand in his face. Terry Thomas! That's what the Magic needed, and Thomas delivers.
Yeah, and he's getting into it as Terry. This game doesn't mean much in the standings, but Terry sets foot on the floor.
Here he comes, coast to coast.
Oh my goodness.
A little tap from behind. Terry wanted the call. Otieno was there. Malcolm Miller back the other way. Here comes Malcolm swooping through the paint. Athletic play by Malcolm Miller.
That was a tough situation by Terry. He looked up, and one of the young volunteers was on the floor sweeping up. Happened so fast, he wasn't able to get out of the way, and that was the defense on Terry on that play.
Under a minute to go now in the half. 41-36, Patillo, and he travels in the paint, and this Riptide team hanging around, and with 55.9 to go, they can pull a little bit closer here.
And these are unforced errors now by the Magic. That's footwork that Patillo's got to have down pat at this point. Getting into that 2-foot jump stop, go up hard over somebody with that athleticism.
Here's Bowdry, puts it on the floor. Spin move against Terry. Terry tries to keep his position, but Bowdry, beautiful move, and goes to the left hand for the bucket.
And they're just letting stuff go, and Bowdry, he knows it. Give him credit. He knows that's not going to be called tonight with this referee.
Here's Terry. Terry again. Terry Thomas. Right now we are seeing the Terry Thomas that we've seen most of this season, and that's a guy who can electrify the team, electrify the crowd.
And he lets that primal scream of his go that we see so often. He pushes the lead out to 5. Last possession here for the Riptide. 11 seconds clock running.
On about a 3-second differential between shot and game from the corner again. Malcolm Miller gets knocked down, and he'll go to the line, and he's going to shoot 3, I believe.
And that's a good call. I know Terry's in the ear, and Coach Salerno was shaking his head. That looked like a good call. As Miller came down, there was a definite bump.
So that's going to send Malcolm Miller to the line. 43-38. Moncton Magic leading by 5. They'd led the entire way in this first half. Miller hits the first.
And Miller's well on his way to a double-double tonight. He's been effective on the glass. 7 boards already for him, leading the team.
That's 8 points now for Miller. And make that 9, as he is now 2 of 2 on this trip.
And the Magic are going to have 5.7 left. And I imagine they got some play in their pocket called for a couple quick screens for Corey Allman for a late 3 here. I'd look for that.
3 of 3.
Off some action.
3 for 3 on that trip from Miller. Anthony Anderson puts it up at the buzzer, and that wild-looking shot is no good. So what was a promising start and a good start for the Moncton Magic, and the Riptide kind of seemed to be wondering where their place was in this game. Well, they found their place, and I've got to go back to Brian Addison. He came in, hit a couple of nice shots, had a little bit of attitude, called a bit of a huddle, got his guys together. And the St. John Riptide are only down by 2 points after one half, Dave, and for a while we were wondering if the Riptide would even be close enough to make it a game.
Oh, yeah, and I mean, they were at the start of this quarter. I mean, look, it was 29-13 at one point, a 16-point bulge, and since then the St. John Riptide just ran off a 30-12 run here to end the half, and they go in with a run of momentum, and they believe against this team. They believe because of their defense that they can remain in any game. And even when it was a turnover fest here early on and just ugly play by them on the offensive end, and it's never going to be pretty for them. They're going to be grinding out games now and in the playoffs if they're going to be winners. But we've seen it before in professional basketball. That's the type of game when comes playoff time that can prove to be effective. You muck it up, you keep things dirty if that's your style, and you can be effective if you keep teams from putting the ball in the hole. In St. John, that's the way they work back into it. They earn possessions on the defensive end, and they convert it offensively.
Well, you mentioned the run that the Riptide went on. They outscored the Moncton Magic in that second quarter, 28-16. Leading scorer for the Riptide in that first half, Malcolm Miller with 10, Horace Wormley with 7. And leading the way for the Moncton Magic, Juan Patillo with 10, Terry Thomas with a late push. He's up to, Patillo with 12, and Terry Thomas with the late push up to 10 points. We'll leave it now with a former NBL player himself, Eric Cruikshank, played for the Halifax Rainmen in their day, played for the Riptide. His nickname was Air Canada, a high flyer. He now runs a great program called Bench Bullying. So as we step aside at the half, we will leave it with Eric Cruikshank. We'll be back in about 13 minutes with the second half. After 2 quarters, the Moncton Magic at home leading the St. John Riptide 43-41. We'll be back. are just about set to go here in this second half. Teams at their respective benches getting ready to come out. And while I have a moment, I want to give a big shout out to Alex Duguay. Alex, known Alex literally his entire life. He's the oldest child, son of my best friend Rob and his wife Darlene. And Alex has been working the games here. Typically he does camera work, but this evening he's up in the big chair.
Whoa.
Up top, switching the score for the live stream broadcast. So
hold the phone, moving up in the world.
And now that he's moved up into like the big chair, the higher position, I don't know if he saw the clause in the contract, but he now has to give me 15% of all of his earnings.
Oh,
so,
yeah. Is he going to big time you though? Is he still looking you in the eye, or is he big timing you a little bit?
We'll see. We'll see. I'm sure he'll text me in a moment and let me know whether or not I'm going to get that 15%.
Yeah.
So as we get underway here in the third quarter, St. John Riptide wearing the dark blue, now going left to right on your screen. Magic wearing their home whites right to left. And it'll be interesting as we see Malcolm Miller put up a shot early here to see what both teams have coming out of the dressing room. And we weren't in the dressing room, and we have no idea what took place. But if the looks on some of the faces of the Magic players coming out of the locker room are any indication, don't know that the message delivered in the dressing room was one of Happy Easter.
No. I don't think he was asking what the plans were after the game and who their picks were for the Final Four. I don't think Coach Slater. No, I think it was, message sent, message received from those, like you said, those looks. And they had a play call for Juan Patillo to kind of bring the crowd to their feet here. Well defended there by Malcolm Miller to make him go make two at the line, but he switches the first.
Well, if there's one thing we've seen from Coach Joe Salerno over his career, and certainly this season, he has a tendency to be able to push the right buttons at the right time. So we'll see what the Moncton Magic have here to start this third quarter, because the Riptide finished, as you mentioned, a big run, and they did a good job of getting back into it in that second quarter. So it's a 4-point game here, Magic lead. Scott Squires, Dave Tingley, and our Moncton Magic crew bringing you this NBL Canada action from the Moncton Coliseum as we see Ahmed work in, and he goes to the right hand and leans over top of Patillo, and the nice little hook shot there from Ali Ahmed.
Yeah, normally you give the advantage to Patillo in sort of a situation like that, but Ahmed got his shoulder into him, turned the corner, and outstretched right hand, got a little English off the glass.
Here's Terry. He's been good from out there, and he's good again. Terry Thomas, lucky 13.
Yeah, he's feeling it. Just really confident on the rise and fire from three-point land tonight, and a good setup there.
Warmly lost his footing there for a minute, tried to get it over to Otieno, who was out on the wing. Terry Thomas got in the middle.
And a good read there from Terry. I mean, Horace is really clever on that screen and roll. He knows exactly what he's doing. And you got to have guys that are good at anticipating that next pass off that screen roll. And Terry Thomas, the Magic have a guy that's good at just that.
13 on the shot clock. Ahmed, baseline, swatted away, double A with the defense. Now up ahead to Terry, scoops it underneath Jennings. For Anderson, hand in his face. Anthony Anderson couldn't get the shot to go. Riptide back the other way. Quick outlet for Redpath. Goes back to Otieno, right back to Aaron from the corner. Taroba wanted that to go, the coach of the Riptide. And here come the Magic. Bit of a track meet breaking out here at the Coliseum. Anthony lost the handle. Aaron Redpath grabs it. He moves it up to Horace Warmly.
And Double A struggling a little bit tonight, both with the shot and playmaking. It's not his normal night tonight. He looks like he's looking forward to the playoffs a little bit.
Ali Ahmed backing in Patillo. This has been a good battle here so far in this third quarter. 32 in white Patillo, 35 in blue Ali Ahmed. And those two guys have come together a few times here early in this third quarter, David.
Yeah, and I think Juan's just got to get his hands up and be physical with him, but just get his hands up and bother Ahmed. Ahmed's not going to make a lot of soft turnaround hook shots or anything like that. He doesn't have that type of offensive game in his arsenal, but he can make a shot, and you put him on the line, and he's got a good stroke. He's going to knock down more than he misses at the line for sure.
Ali Ahmed into the game. 35 in blue is Ali.
And Denzel Taylor comes onto the floor for Patillo. And you know Denzel's going to be physical down there with Ali Ahmed for sure.
48-45, one possession game. Riptide hanging around and hanging around. Anthony Anderson Looking for somewhere to go, takes it strong, underneath the baseline, dishes to Brent Jennings. He goes to the left hand. Scoop shot no good. Rebound by Denzel Taylor. He kicks it outside to Anthony. Fresh shot clock for the Magic.
There's Denzel doing the Denzel thing, which is sucking up offensive boards.
Big screen there from Denzel. Anderson high off glass. Rebounded by Otieno. Riptide will bring it up the floor. Warmly puts on the brakes now. Little behind the back scoop pass. That was cheeky to Miller. Almost turned over. Ahmed gets it right back for St. John. 8 seconds on the shot clock for the Riptide.
They got a mismatch problem here with Wormley, but well defended. Good help by Denzel, but
Miller, no, and I'm not sure if the St. John Riptide had a bucket list of fancy passes, but we've seen a couple of over the head, behind the back, underneath, scoop it behind the back, between the legs. It's a full menu of fun passes here from the St. John Riptide.
Almost got bailed out by Malcolm Miller at the end of a shot clock.
Under 9 minutes left to play in the third quarter. 48-45 Magic lead, and Jennings.
And that's what Denzel brings you. If he sets that hard screen and rolls hard, he's going to force good things to happen, whether it's for a teammate or whether it's going to be for himself. And Malcolm Miller had no choice but to grab Denzel on that roll, or else he had a wide open layup.
Inbound by Anderson. Terry Thomas. Brent Jennings thought about the shot. Dribble penetration. Takes it in. Brent Jennings. I mentioned in the first half he was feeling good about getting a little bit of hop and spring back in his step, and he showed it right there.
Yeah, that was gorgeous and a good setup there. Good. See, that's a ball movement that the Magic need to show. If they move the ball like that a little bit, they're going to find themselves in a mismatch at some point.
Look at Ahmed going strong against Taylor, but Taylor, as he so often does, just plants the feet. And he's a pretty strong young man, is number 5, Denzel Taylor.
You can't move him very easy. And that's the type of foul that he gets when he's being physical, because he just bullies and berates the offensive guy into giving a foul sometimes. And Ali Agman was just a little frustrated with the physicality from Denzel and gave him one.
Anthony, baseline, weaving through a crowd, steps back outside the arc now. 12 seconds on the shot clock. Corey Allman gets it into Denzel. Quick outlet to Anderson. Here's Jennings for 3. Bangs it off the front of the rim. Red path up the floor for the Riptide. Miller wide open. Malcolm Miller hits the triple. 33, good for 3.
And it seemed like a kind of a weird little another pass out of the back pocket for Red path, but he knew something we didn't. And Malcolm Miller, as he so often done, knocked it down, and that was a weird looking play here at this end too. Bodies thrown all over the place.
So that foul goes on Malcolm Miller. That's his 3rd. Taquan Gord will check back into the game. Ali Ahmed will head out.
Taquan didn't look too happy when he came out in the first half and then didn't get back on the floor again. He's put in some good minutes for the Riptide lately.
That pass bounces off a couple of players and goes out of bounds.
But a good play there by Jennings. He knew the shot was short, and him and Corey Allman really went hard to the offensive glass and forced Miller to knock it out. So sometimes you don't have to necessarily get that board. It's the effort going to it, making guys work. That work pays off, and it did there for Brent Jennings and Corey Allman.
7:49 left in the third quarter. 2-point lead for the Moncton Magic. They've led the entire way, but this is as close as the Riptide have been. They're within 2. Denzel Taylor gets it to Jennings. Miller almost got a hand on that. Allman worked a little screen, got open, steps back for 3. Corey, get out the phone and call back home, Corey.
Were they looking over to the St. John bench to see if Mr. Addison was picking up at the other end? I don't know.
I don't think Brian Addison's going to want to answer that call at all.
No.
53-48. Redpath has it tapped away from behind, and they're going to call Terry for reaching in from behind, I believe.
Yeah, that's a good call. Looks like he got a piece of the elbow there, too, on the reach in.
Jeremy Williams back into the game now. Brent Jennings will come over.
Yeah, good minutes from BJ there, and Coach Salerno's giving him a pat in the back, saying your shot's a little flat. Use those legs, and that is true, but other parts of him game were really impressive tonight.
And Horace Warmly, my goodness, gingerbread man. I think he's more like a bungee cord as he kind of went just bouncing in through the lane, put the shot up, and then just kind of bounced across the floor.
Some point guards just have that in him, and it's such a good play by him. He got into the lane and then slowed up just that little bit, and Denzel Taylor got on his back, and he was able to just be athletic and extend and finish.
Warmly hits. So again, just a 2-point game, 53-51. You know what's in the back of the Riptide mind. They'd like to take their first lead of this contest at some point here in this quarter. Jeremy Williams now. Penetration into the paint. Shot from about 4 feet, no good. And they're going to say it went off, but Jeremy out of bounds, much to the delight of Malcolm Miller as he claps his hands.
Another good call, yeah. And Jeremy, that's another situation. He gets in that key, and he's kind of looks reluctant to shoot. And throws up kind of a hook there where you think Jeremy, with all of his athleticism and power, could power up and even go for a dunk or off the glass with that shot.
Nice bounce pass. Gord inside to Malcolm Miller. That was a great dish. Bounced it into the paint. Miller cuts the baseline, gets the bucket.
And the stuff that St. John's getting is just a little bit easier than what Moncton is. Shots are a little easier to come by.
Jeremy Williams takes it in, goes to the right hand. Shot's no good. He'll go to the line to shoot two. But with that Malcolm Miller bucket at the other end, this is the first time that the Riptide have been tied with the Magic since we were at 0-0.
Yeah, and it's been a slow claw back with all that sloppy play early, but they've been keeping themselves in it defensively, and with some offensive execution at the other end, just bit by bit, very patient. They know what their defense can do in keeping them in games, and it's done its job again tonight. And here we are, tied at 53 halfway through the third quarter.
Williams from the line hits the first, so that's 1 of 2. That'll nudge the Magic back into the lead.
And a solid play there by Terry on that movement from Jay Will. The throw went back door, and Terry found him. And it's 2 shots at the line for Jay Will.
So good trip for Jeremy there. So Redpath will bring it across. That's 5 points on the game now for Jeremy Williams. Jeremy took a little push there from Bowdry. Here's Wormley. Quick dish to Redpath. He's open, puts the shot up. Not quite enough mustard on that. Look at Terry. There's that running back. Takes it into the paint. And from behind, Terry, I think that was Taquan Gord who kind of fell on top of Terry as Terry just bowled his way in toward the basket.
There's definitely some gamesmanship going on in this game. Gord with the block shot and went to help Terry up, and Terry slapped his hand away. My teammate will help me up, thanks very much.
You kind of get the feeling that this would be a fun best-of-5 should these two teams meet in the first round.
Yeah, it would be.
Could carry the battle of the 5-0-6 over into the playoffs. And to that end, should give a tip of the cap to both of the mayors. Dawn Arnold from the city of Moncton, she was here earlier presenting, and she's in attendance here this evening, as is Don Darling, the mayor of St. John, New Brunswick. So the mayor of St. John continuing his support for the Riptide and traveling with the team to be present here for the back end of the home and home for the Battle of the 5-0-6.
And a shout out to the St. John fans on the front end of the Battle of the 5-0-6. 5,400 of them turned up in St. John, and you heard every single one of them as that game drew to a close. Those final moments, those possessions when Juan Patillo missed a dunk. He stole the ball, nice defensive play, and then missed a dunk with 4 minutes left. And Coach Salerno said he's never heard a building in the NBL so loud as when Juan Patillo missed that dunk.
Well, the in-house PA trying to get the fans here at the Coliseum loud and going. And again, a great crowd here as well. You know, shout out to the fans of the Moncton Magic. It's the final regular season game, final home game before the playoffs, but they've turned up in big numbers here on this long Easter weekend. So well done, Magic fans. And I guess to ask you, while we have a moment, I'm going to do a bit of geography here with you. And I'm going somewhere with this, just so you know.
All right.
But do you know where Aiken, South Carolina is?
Is that anywhere near the Nile River?
It's, well, I would have to denial that. Aiken, South Carolina, very close actually to where the Masters is about to be played.
Ah, okay.
And
yeah.
it's also
in Augusta, Georgia.
It's also the home of Bob Story, who is Mike Story, of course. Mike,
you're
the
king
Magic.
of segues.
But Bob, his dad, a big fan of the team, watching the live stream tonight, enjoying the broadcast. Bob, I hope things are going well for you down there in Aiken, South Carolina. And I know you're a big golf fan. And your son Mike was telling me you're pretty excited about the Masters coming up here in a very short amount of time. And it's very exciting as well because for the first time in a while, folks believe that Tiger Woods actually has a chance to compete and be there on the Sunday of the Masters. So
my money's on Bubba Watson, but that's fine.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. But again, nice to have you on board, Bob. Glad you're watching and enjoying. You're seeing the Moncton Magic right now lead by 2, but the Riptide have the ball and a chance to tie or take the lead. Warmly bounce pass into Gord. Quick pass over to the wing. Nice ball moved by the Riptide. They've got 12 on the shot here. Spinning around his boundary. Shot rolls around, tapped out of the cylinder. And it'll go over to the sideline and out of bounds.
Awkward there, but good, well defended there by the Magic after that initial pass. Good close out there by Terry Thomas, and Badger didn't have much to work with and forced a difficult shot. And Magic earned the possession back. And just for the record, my geography is much better than that. I knew Aiken, South Carolina was nowhere near the Nile River being in, Antarctica or something.
Yeah, that's close, pretty close. You can see it from your front
Again,
door.
another joke, I swear.
Al Stewart back into the game. He's got the ball in his hands now for the Magic. Here's Williams. He loves it out there. Can't get it to go, though. Jeremy hasn't quite found his stroke tonight.
Oh,
but Denzel dish to Al Stewart. Denzel Taylor hoovers up the rebound, gives it to Al. And Al, he's not going to miss many of those.
Denzel got into a wrestling match with 3 Riptide, ripped it away. And good movement by Al to make himself available under the hoop for a sweet Taylor dish.
4-point lead, 57-53. Magic in front. They've led from wire to this point. 4:47 left in the third quarter. Redpath puts up that shot from the wing, and Redpath rolls it around and down.
And he's got that shot. Aaron's a solid 3-point shooter. Hasn't shown it much tonight. Hasn't got much of an opportunity, but knocked it down there where it counted.
Al Stewart and Anthony Anderson, they play catch, and now it goes outside to Jay Will. Jeremy Williams. Al Stewart lost the handle for a minute, got it right back. Boundary on him, now it's Terry. Terry tries to do a little dribble penetration, decides to step back. Shot no good, but there's Denzel again to slap that rebound back into the hands of the Magic, and a fresh shot clock for Moncton.
And it seems like they come in bunches with him. He gets almost like a feeling going.
And Jay Will, there's his first thrill for the fans as he makes a nice cut in toward the baseline and lays it off the backboard and in.
And again, Denzel did a good job there, shielding off the defender, almost posting up down low.
Here comes Al with some pace. Al Stewart gives it to Jay Will. Jeremy palms that ball, throws it over there for Anthony Anderson. Denzel comes out to run a screen. Anthony Anderson to Jeremy Williams. Jay Will with a slam dunk thrill, and the Coliseum finally erupting here with 3:34 to go in quarter number 3.
And the thrill, he wanted one to go down in a big way tonight. He said, I haven't given you much in the way of a slam dunk memory to go on this year to add to my highlight reel, and you told him, get one for me tonight.
I said, give us one to put on your mixtape, Jay Will, and he did right there. He was talking to us before the game about the experience that he had in Halifax. I guess he doesn't know what happened. He said, but he kind of out of nowhere, he got really ill really quickly, and it affected him big time. Said he's feeling better now, but he said it kind of came out of nowhere.
Listen, Jay Will, on his worst day, when Jay Will's in a terrible mood, he can still bring you up from whatever mood you're in, because his worst mood is your best one. And we know you've never seen a guy with a bigger smile walking into the gym tonight. Guys, I feel so good tonight after he was the happiest guy in the world to be feeling better.
He was, and he was excited about the crowd that we knew was going to be on hand here this evening at the Coliseum as well.
Yep.
Let's check out the out-of-town scoreboard. A couple of other games going on around the NBL, Dave.
Yeah, and starting in KW, and KW playing their last game of the season, they're in a game with Windsor Express, 4-point lead for Windsor with 9:32 left in the second quarter there. Halifax Hurricanes, they are having a big third quarter. They were down at the half to Cape Breton, but they've gone up by 14 now with a minute left in the third quarter there. And earlier tonight, the St. John's Edge with a 10-point victory over the Niagara River Lions in Niagara's last game of the season, the regular season there, and they head into a first-round matchup with the London Lightning, which a lot of people are going to overlook. And I want people to tune into that one. Niagara's got a squad that can do some work against London, especially the way London has at times struggled to defend here in the season. And Niagara with Chris Joseph and Guillaume Payne-Boucard and a bunch of Canadians in the lineup that can shoot the ball, they can score the ball. And that'll be a fun, if nothing else. That might be a sweep by London. It might be a 5-game series, but it's going to be fun to watch.
Aaron Redpath with 3:20 to go in the third quarter. 5-point lead for the Magic. Who will the Magic play in the first round of the playoffs? The Central Division already decided. You mentioned Niagara and London, and in the other series, it'll be the Windsor Express and the St. John's Edge. So the two matchups in the other division settled, but still nothing decided here in terms of the matchup. We know the four teams. It'll be Halifax, Moncton, St. John, and the Island Storm. We just don't know what the matchups will be.
And the great thing is you can't sleep on any of the 8 teams. And great defense here. Possession of the timeout by Moncton Magic. That can be a demoralizing thing. You call a timeout, you get the ball back, and you have a 30-second shot clock violation of the timeout. That's just great defensive execution by the Magic there.
This Magic team coming into tonight 22-17 on the season. Al Stewart working with that ball under 3 minutes in the third quarter. Al leans in, scoops it up, gets a roll, gets a bounce, gets a bucket.
Al in limited minutes tonight is into double figures along with 2 dimes and 2 steals and 2 assists. He's just having a typical Al Stewart game, even in limited minutes.
Warmly working it around for the Riptide. This Riptide team 500 on the season, 19-19 with 2 left to play, 1 left after this one tonight. And there's 6-13 away from home. So again, that's a big thing. If these two teams match up, the Riptide not so great away from home, and the Moncton Magic very good at home. But again, they're still not sure who they're going to play. But an intriguing matchup, to say the least, should it be the Magic and the Riptide. These two teams, we talked about the home and home, the battle of the 506. St. John winning that game the other night, 96-90. So the Magic and looking for some revenge, and that alley-oop didn't connect. Terry Thomas, there he goes. Jay Will tried to follow up. He goes down hard to the floor, and the ball ends up into the hands of Horace Warmley. Wild sequence there.
And Terry struggled a little bit. He's missed a couple of those ones that he doesn't normally miss, and he's been a little bit of a struggle from the floor tonight for Terry inside the 3-point line, which is weird for him.
Redpath down in that corner, but they're going to say he stepped out. So 2:07 is left here in this third quarter.
And that's the 3rd turnover exactly that way, of the heels being on the line when they catch a pass, and that's just the stuff you can't afford if you're going to be in this game if you're a St. John Riptide fan.
Checking into the game, Marvin Binney for St. John. Horace Warmley will take a break, although I don't imagine Horace will be on the St. John Riptide bench for too long.
Well, Binney had some good minutes, though, in that first half. He came in, played limited time, and had 6 points on 3 or 4 from the line.
Al Stewart gets it off to Jeremy from the baseline. Shot, not enough strength on that. Jeremy Williams hounding there as Bowdry gets it over on this near side for Binney. Marvin Binney brings it over half court. He'll step to his left, kick it to Mency on the right. Mency just back into the game for the Riptide as well, as is Brian Addison. Addison backing in Denzel Taylor. Taylor with the tough defense. He's hard to move, and Addison tries to back him in and put the shot up. And they're going to call the foul, so I think that's what Addison wanted. If he wasn't going to get a bucket, he was at least trying to get a foul call on Denzel.
Yeah, it's strange how they picked a foul out of that from my eyes, but, you know, it looked to be like Addison, as he was putting that ball on the floor each time, kind of was hooking Denzel a little bit, and Denzel was pushing right back. Seemed to be one you kind of let go, but when it's physical down there, when it's banging around, sometimes you're going to get one.
Addison, plenty of arc on the free throw shot from the line, hits the first.
You have a bringing rain there is Addison with that soft shot from the line.
Addison looking to go 2 for 2 and get his 6th point on the night, and he does indeed. Marvell Waith now, haven't seen him in a while. He'll check back into the game for the Moncton Magic. Jeremy Williams over to the bench.
Yeah, I think Marvell is one of the guys who's getting his minutes limited, I think, a little bit tonight in the last regular season game by Coach Salerno.
Denzel Taylor with the ball in his hands. Outside Terry gets his own rebound back as that came well off the rim. Now Marvell Waith. Right back to Terry. Terry looking to make a move, takes it in strong, left hand, no good. Addison was there for the rebound, and they're going to call the foul.
Yeah, and that's a good call, too. Terry did get smacked on the side of the head there and earned that trip to the line. And
Paul Hansen with the emphatic hand to the head call. He's going to concuss himself.
Yeah, that was, take it easy on yourself there, Paul.
Making sure that there was no doubt what the call was. Referees into the game here this evening in Moncton.
Are they ever? They've blown the whistle so little tonight. They've been stiff with the whistle there. They feel the need to be emphatic about it when they do.
So that second shot rattles in, 65-58. Moncton extending that lead a little more. The Riptide have been as close as 2 points, but no closer.
And it's at this end of the floor that Moncton's really done the good work in this third quarter, and spearheaded by that man there, Al, and that man there, Denzel.
Here comes
tearing up.
Terry putting the head down. Now it's Waite. Nobody around him. Takes a step, looks down, and maybe too much time for Marvell as he looked down, saw the line. He could have done an Irish jig.
Yeah,
he had so much time.
Yeah, you sometimes just have to shoot that in rhythm.
And I should correct myself. I said St. John has been as close as 2. They were actually tied at 53 all earlier in this third quarter.
They were.
So 65-58. Terry again in a crowd. Somehow found Al Stewart, who goes up and off the glass. Terry Thomas, it wasn't pretty, but he kept a handle on the ball and then fed Al.
And Marvell Waite with a good job on that inbound, sneaking in, stealing the ball away, and he's going to get 2 shots. And Al Stewart and Denzel Taylor are doing some work. And Denzel, an underrated part of what he's doing offensively. That's the second time, maybe even the third, where he's done the work. We're shielding a guy off so he couldn't get to the penetrator or the cutter to the lane, and he did it again there. And Al has a wide open lane, just an easy dribble in and lay it up and in.
Marvell Waite, first trip to the line, 5 points on the night, make it 6. So that foul on Binney, that was his third foul. Marvell looks to go 2 for 2 here and see if he can jump up to 7 points on the night. Marvell rolls the second one in and out, so 1 for 2 on that trip. 68-58, back to a double-digit lead for the Moncton Magic here with 15 seconds left to go. Basically, shot clock, game clock, identical. Mency. Riptide just playing for the last shot, of course. Caliste gets a hand on it now, and perhaps a chance as Addison comes over and commits the foul on Caliste and then taps him on the back and says, hey, man, you know, no hard feelings there, just giving you the foul.
No, and love the attitude of Addison here tonight. He's playing super hard and getting in the face a little bit of the fans with his telephone gesture, referencing Corey Allman, of course, but good sportsmanship there. Gave Caliste a grab and then gave him a tap on the butt. Let him know we're all good.
Addison, a solid player for this team, 6'9", forward out of Queens, New York, by way of Jamaica. And to the line is Caliste.
And not a play probably you want to make there. I mean, if you're grabbing him, especially a guy like Caliste who's so automatic at the line, with such little time on the clock, it's best to let it play out and see if your teammates can bail you out with a good defensive play.
First trip to the line for Jason. He hits the first, 3 points on the night now, and make it 4 as he's 2 of 2 on that trip. 70-58, only a couple of seconds. They've got to hurry. Binney kind of got hounded there and wanted the foul call, as did Coach Taroba. Coach Taroba walking right out toward midcourt to have a word with Paul Hansen.
That was a bit of an acting job there, I think. I don't think there was much to that. Nice attempt by Binney, but give him an Emmy or an Oscar, but not a foul call.
So the third quarter comes to an end. Now, don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Because we have got a opportunity now for a lucky fan who was chosen at random tonight.
Not me, apparently, though.
Well, not us, unfortunately, but there is going to be a $2,000 half-court attempt here.
Here's our man.
Now, I don't want to assume anything, but by the looks of this young gentleman, I'm pretty sure the $2,000 might be spent on bubble gum and not beverages.
I didn't get his name.
Well, listen, let's not assume anything here.
No, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're judging a book by its cover there, Scott.
I'm a very young-looking man. You tell me all the time how young I look, so, you know, I don't want to assume. But
oh, boy.
Let's see what can happen here.
Oh,
everybody in the Coliseum eyes on this lucky contestant. Wouldn't be a bad payday, $2 grand.
No, he's ready, too. Look at him. He's ready to go.
There's one.
Oh! In and out on the first shot.
The crowd was with him. Here's his second. He's got one more. He's close.
He's hit rim on both shots, this guy.
He's close. Duncan comes over and headbutts the table, but he's okay.
Get in!
Oh, my goodness. He was to the left, to the right, to the front. That close to $2,000.
The guy deserves $100 for that, I'd say, at least.
I think we should get a GoFundMe going for him, or at least pass a hat around and do up a collection.
That was an impressive performance off the rim 3 times out of 3.
Now I'm not
from
sure,
half court.
I'm not sure. I know you can't see it at home, but I'm not sure who's over sitting beside the young man. But a lovely lady that perhaps could be his mom leaned over to give him a big kiss on the cheek, and he would have none of it.
No, was not having it. He is not happy with his performance. I love to see that out of the kid. I'm only happy if the ball goes in, Mom.
Now, I think they're overlooking. I think there was somebody over there recording it as well on their phone.
Absolutely.
And I think he's going back and he's reviewing the footage.
Yeah.
He's reviewing the footage to see if he ever gets the chance.
He wants another chance.
Yeah, what he can work on.
Yeah.
But holy smokes, that was close. 3 times.
Unreal.
He was all around it, Dave.
He was. From half court. Impressive stuff. Did they give him did they take him somewhere and get him some practice shots, or I can't believe he just walked out there cold?
My understanding is that the draw for the fan was going to be completely random and tonight, so
unbelievable.
He would have had no warm-ups at all. So back to the game we go. 4th quarter underway. 12-point lead for the Moncton Magic as they look to finish off the regular season with a win. Marvell Waith, that shot nowhere near the mark.
Yeah, well defended there by the Riptide in the first possession, and they can make a run here. Let's not sleep on them. It's a 12-point lead, but we've seen it in the first half. They can muck things up, make it ugly. All of a sudden you turn around, haven't scored in a while, and it's a 5-point game, and that could very easily happen here. So these first few minutes are really important for the Magic.
Leading scorers in the game, Malcolm Miller with 15 for the Riptide, Terry Thomas with 15 for the Magic. That pass inside, Taylor was there defending on Ahmed, and they're going to call Denzel for the foul once again.
And Coach Salerno calling for a 3 in the key there. He was in there for quite a while, but a wrestling match down there, and we're going to see this. This is going to be a matchup to watch in this 4th quarter. Ahmed and Taylor are probably going to have lots of minutes together.
Mincy, baseline, shot up. Too strong, back of the iron. Nice rebound there. Underneath was Gord. And as we saw that foul being called on Denzel underneath, it made me think for a moment of Terrell Baines. And Terrell Baines, recently released by the team. I know it was a tough decision for Joe Salerno and the Moncton Magic, but certainly want to wish Terrell Baines all the very best in whatever may come next for him. A great young man. Always enjoy talking to Terrell.
Love T-Baines. Love T-Baines. Yeah.
Absolutely. Great guy. And Terrell, if you're listening, watching tonight, we miss you, my friend, and you're a great guy, and we wish you lots of luck.
Yeah, and it was a tough decision. I mean, look, there was nobody on this roster that really was expendable, so they had to make a best of a bad situation.
Working it around, Marvell Waith put it on the floor, goes in through a crowd. Marvell, my goodness, what body control as he went into the paint against 3 Riptide defenders and gets the basket.
Yeah, he's got such good size and length that when you get him into that, let him into that key, it's all bad news from there.
Malcolm Miller goes right in against Marvell. Ali Ahmed was there for the rebound, and they're going to call the foul underneath, and I think Ahmed's going to go to the line.
Oof. That's a rough one. Jason Calise came over, rejected it, and that's a situation, if you're a guard, you're going, you just called that foul on me, ref, because I'm a guard, and you can't believe I blocked a big guy. I've had that so many times, all the rejections that wait a second, no. I can't personalize this no matter how hard I try, but Calise looked like he got all ball on that one. And some smiles coming from the bench.
That's the first foul on Jason. Meanwhile, Ahmed hits from the line, 72-60, 10:47 left to go here in the 4th quarter. Scott Squires, Dave Tingley with you on a Saturday night from the Moncton Coliseum. A great crowd on hand here for the back end of the home and home battle of the 506. Riptide took the first game the other night, 96-90. Magic looking to answer back here. They currently lead 72-60.
The Riptide are on a rough run here. With 5 minutes left in that 3rd quarter, they were at 56 points, only 4 points in the 5+ minutes, almost 6 since then. So a rough stretch for them here.
Caliste inside to Thomas. Terry backs away now. Malcolm Miller follows him out to the top of the key. Denzel runs the screen. Terry takes it in strong. Taquan Gord was there along as Ahmed. Terry Thomas goes down to the floor.
And this is what St. John does. They pack it in so tight that they give you those passes are almost easy to get, but they pack it in so tight. They talk about in Virginia in the NCAA tournament, the reason that that their success, and they were picked as a #1 seed and to go a long way, is that pack line defense. And of course, they got upset, but that's kind of what St. John deploys here, that pack line. They get everybody packed in the key and make you make shots, and they're so good at closing out and got such long athletes, they can still pack it in and get to that three-point shooter and make it tough for them, and that's what they rely on. And it's, you know, when it's working the way it has been for them all year, it can be pretty, and the Magic have managed to cut through it a little bit, enough to push this lead out to 14. And St. John's going to need to score the ball a little bit better here on this end of the floor. They can't just rely on getting stops at this point.
Otieno into the game now. He wears 15 in blue, has it stripped away, and there's that man, Al Stewart. Now over to Terry, steps back, puts the shoulder down now, takes it into the paint, scoops it up and in. Terry Thomas doing it always tonight for the Moncton Magic.
Oh, and here we go. And just a good job there by the referee. A lot of yapping going on between Denzel Taylor and Ali Ahmed. Ali's already got a tech. He could have gone the double T route there, but he decided to give just a warning, a dead ball warning on Denzel.
And a good job by Marvell Waite to come over and just kind of walk Denzel back up the floor. That three-ball attempt from Mency falls short.
And great D by Kalist, and Denzel's going to watch himself here. That's he was tied up with Ali Ahmed again. Really feels like he took the worst end of it, but ended up getting the foul call. And he took a step towards the referee, I should say. He didn't go at him, but he took a step towards him and was held back by some teammates there again.
Ahmed over to the Riptide bench. Joel Ndondo back onto the floor, 34 in blue for the Riptide. 9:48 left to go here in the fourth quarter. It's a 16-point advantage for the Moncton Magic, 76-60.
I think Coach Taroba was having a little discussion with him about how that physical play was going a little bit. Not giving him a hard time. I just think giving him probably a speech about when he's going to expect him to go back into the game and finish it off. And great defense again by Kalist.
Here comes Terry. Boom! Terry Thomas with authority and an exclamation point. The Coliseum loves it.
And he gives a pat in the butt to Jason Kalist, and a well-deserved one. Jason was the man that set him up. Two great defensive plays in a row by Kalist.
Moncton Magic trying to lock it down here in this fourth quarter. Ndondo to Mency, puts it up for three. Darren Mency, smooth stroke there. And the native of Hagerstown, Maryland, with the nice triple.
And he came back from, I believe it was an Achilles tear that he came back from, a full Achilles tear this year. So that takes a while to work yourself back from. And he's had a tough time of it, but he can make those threes. He can knock down shots.
Kalist, he can knock him down too, and he does
right
there.
Back at you.
Jason Cathreese with the triple.
And I love the look on Darren Mency's face. He had a hand up, and as he went through, he just went, okay, all right. Well, I'm impressed. That was a tough shot.
Here's Binney. All the way over now. Gord sees an opening, puts the shot up too strong. Rebound to Al Stewart, adding to his total. And we were talking on the Periscope pregame, Dave, as we see that shot put up from outside. Marvell Waite goes down to the floor. But Al Stewart moving up the rebound list in the NBL. Turnover, here comes Marvell. Long strides up the floor. Kalist got the defender in the air, and then Mency comes over and nudges into Kalist. Jason Kalist pulling the Corey Allman move right there.
He did, and Corey Allman was the first one to get up and give him props. And the rest of the bench chimed in. Double A and the guys are up laughing about something. They're having a good time over there with this 18-point lead.
And I think it's worth mentioning that an important thing to take note of is it was clear with the Magic coming out of the locker room, and Kalist now will be at the line to shoot, but we referenced that we were guessing that Coach Salerno's message at the half wasn't a very happy one.
Nope.
And the important thing is the Magic seem to have responded very well.
Well, yeah, especially on the defensive end. And I think that speech had a lot to do about defensive toughness and matching St. John's, because while the offense was definitely stagnated, as we've seen throughout this season so often, and just as we saw in that Terry Thomas breakaway tomahawk dunk, defense with them turns to offense and makes them more explosive, and they were not. Early, they were getting those turnovers and converting, and then the second half of the first half, they weren't getting anything done on the defensive end, and it wasn't getting them some easy shots, and we see what it does here in this fourth quarter.
Well, all of a sudden now the lead up to 21, largest lead of the game for the Moncton Magic. They're outscoring the Riptide 14-5 in this fourth quarter. 8 minutes to go. Menzie again from outside. Shot no good. Trying to get that rebound is Otieno, and Denzel just kind of pushed him out of the way and took it. Al Stewart puts on the brakes.
And hustle plays by Denzel have been his calling card here in the second half. He's been tough.
D'ing up on Waith. Terry sees the opening, puts the shot up and hits it. Terry Thomas, there's the primal scream, the double fist pump, and Terry whipping up the Coliseum crowd.
Yeah, he's loving life right now, and it's interesting. Terry's calling card tonight has been from behind the three-point line. That's 4 out of 5 from him from there, and he's just 4 for 13 from everywhere else on the floor. That's not like Terry, but his those threes are going down. He's loving life from behind the three-point line. He's up to 24 on the night with 6 boards as Terry Thomas.
Well, to finish that thought we were mentioning earlier about how this team responded to whatever that coach Joe Salerno message was at the half, the Moncton Magic outscored the Riptide 27-17 in the third quarter, and now 17-5 so far here in the fourth quarter. And you mentioned it, Terry Thomas, he just has these moments, David, where he just kind of puts the team on his back and says, everybody just hop on, I'm going to take you through.
And I think the other catalyst in the second half has been, we got to mention it again, is Al Stewart. I mean, look, and Denzel as well, the hustle plays, those two, and I think when you look to the playoffs, I think one thing you're going to see different is Al Stewart's minutes go up. I'd be shocked, and those minutes have been limited a little bit, especially in the second half of this regular season. I would be shocked if those minutes didn't go up 5-10 a game in the playoffs. As those games are staggered out more, Al can get more rest, but more importantly, the games are more important.
Well, at the end of the third quarter, leading scorers in the game were Malcolm Miller with 15 for the Riptide and Terry Thomas with 15 for the Magic. Malcolm Miller is still at 15. Terry Thomas now up to a game-high 24 for the Moncton Magic.
Here as the fourth quarter's rolled on here in 4.5 minutes. And that's what, listen, you got your big-time scorers. You want them to step up in big-time places. And we talked, I said, the first few minutes of this fourth quarter are going to be key, because when St. John stacks stops together, all of a sudden you turn around, even though they might be not be as explosive offensively, you turn around all of a sudden, how are these guys within 3 or 5 or 2? How have they climbed back and tied this score up? Well, it's on the defensive end, and they've not gotten stops, and it's been Terry Thomas, the catalyst, and the defensive end at the floor too, with Caliste and Al Stewart and Denzel.
Redpath out there with Binney, hands it off to Binney. Malcolm Miller on the floor as well in Dondo and Otieno for the Riptide. Terry Thomas, Marvell Waith, Denzel Taylor, Al Stewart, and Jason Caliste, the personnel for the Magic.
And you don't want to I shortchanged Mr. Waith there, excuse me. I shortchanged him. He's the 5th member of this 5 in this fourth quarter, and his defense has been every bit as smothering as the rest of the squad. You just saw it, case in point, on that possession. Marvell was everywhere.
7:05 left in this fourth quarter. Largest lead of the game for the Moncton Magic currently sits at 24, and that's what they enjoy right now, 87-63. Marvell Waith has the ball now to Terry Thomas, leading scorer in the game. Terry now to Al Stewart. Al kicks it over to Terry from the corner. Terry's off the back of the rim. He wanted it, but didn't get it in. Ball into a crowd rolling around on the floor, and Redpath scoops it up, gets it into Ndondo. Little hook shot from the baseline. Joel Ndondo with the nice look there.
Yeah, St. John just got fortunate there. Ball was knocked away, pinballed around a little bit. And Ndondo got a matchup he liked and was able to finish. But I'll be interested to see with our player of the game post-game interview if he'll be able to repeat any of the halftime speech that was given by Coach Slayer. Any details, any juicy tidbits you can get from that speech.
I may have to have a mute button handy, but we'll see. Malcolm Miller, he can hit from there, and he rolls it around and down to the ground. Marvell Waith was over top of him. There's no call, though. But again, Malcolm Miller, my goodness, smooth.
How many times has he made those where he's been knocked to the floor, hand in his face? I mean, just the shot-making ability he has.
Al Stewart trying to look to get it to somewhere, decides to go to Marvell Waith with it. Now inside to Denzel Taylor. Spins against Ndondo. Gets the round, gets the bounce, gets it to drop.
Denzel hasn't had many opportunities in the lane. Those were his first points tonight. He deserved them. He's got 10 boards, a couple blocks, couple steals, and just generally being a pest on the defensive end.
Redpath backs away. No rush here for the Magic. They don't mind if the Riptide take the clock down. 6 seconds on the shot clock, and Dondo spins against Waith. Shot short, rebound underneath, and Dondo gets a hand on it again. Caliste trying to rip it out of his hands.
Yeah, and that's a tough call, too. When Dondo's holding it out there, Caliste digging down there, getting the steal and getting a call. And these guys are hearing footsteps. Those were a couple of wild shots from close range from the Riptide, and that's what happens sometimes when you get in this stretch where you can't put the ball on the floor and guys are pestering you. You get that feel like, you get that block is coming. Strange play there.
And Malcolm Miller down on the floor. He's
laughing
literally laying on his side, laughing uncontrollably.
And he's fouled out with that one.
And he's looking back toward the Moncton bench, giving a round of applause as he heads over. He got tangled up there with Jason Caliste, and when he went down to the floor, he literally laid on his side and just started to
burst out laughing. He's giving Jason Caliste props for earning the foul call there. Jason just kind of jumped onto his butt, I guess, is the best way to describe how that play went.
And again, the ball down to the floor. Binney wrestling around for it there, like at a, I don't know what that was like, kind of at a fair when you're trying to win a prize.
Some interesting stuff going on here late in the game.
Yeah, and again,
Binney's looking for a tooth maybe down there. He's rubbing his face, but no, he's good. Looks like he's all right, but yeah, some awkward, strange wrestling going on here. Some WWE sort of stuff going on.
Great job by the youth basketball crew that come and help out, cleaning up the floor here, mopping up the sweat or whatever other things happen to be on the floor.
He's had some camera time tonight. Defended Terry Thomas on a breakaway earlier.
Redpath slings it over Binney from the baseline. Marvell Waith gets up there to tap at that rebound.
Kevin Farrell-Thomas is going to get some minutes here at the end of the game. Good on him. Denzel checks out after a solid second half from Denzel. He was part of that wrecking crew that did the damage defensively coming out of that locker room.
So Kevin Farrell-Thomas, 33 in white, seeing some action now for the Moncton Magic. 4.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. There's Al, heating up, puts it up.
Dondo did a good job getting a piece of it, though.
89-68, Magic lead. Here's Bowdry. Interesting move through the lane as he kind of shifted one way, then back the other.
Yeah, nice Euro step by him. And it looks awkward at times, but when you execute it effectively, and Bowdry did there, that Euro step is super awkward to guard because you end up hitting a guy jumping sideways into you. But it's your momentum that causes the foul, and so he goes to the line and knocks one in.
Bowdry has looked pretty good here in the minutes that he's played for the St. John Riptide. So again, I would encourage fans just to keep an eye on the Moncton Magic website as well as the NBL Canada website to see what's going to happen with the Island Storm in their final game of the season on the road against London. And then, of course, one more game for the St. John Riptide as well. And once all those games are played, as we see Marvell put up the 17-foot jump shot and hits it. But once all those games have been played, then we'll know what the matchups are going to be in the Atlantic Division.
And the team in the Moncton Magic, they think their first games are going to be around the 8th or 9th of April against whatever their matchup is. So keep an eye out, fans, too, for the schedule when it comes out. It's not ready yet, but it depends on the matchup that they get. But
Otieno hits for three. Nice jump shot there from the native of Nairobi, Kenya, by way of the University of Alberta. So the Golden Bear with the triple.
And best of all for you fans out there is Kevin Farrell-Thomas gets one to go. And it's a popular one with the fans and with the bench. Love and life is the bench with Kevin Farrell-Thomas, and that was pretty. That was a tough finish over top of Dondo.
Good for Farrell-Thomas to get some points in the action here late in this fourth quarter. Now he's got to defend up against Ndondo.
And he knocks it away with a nice, good hands there.
A couple of Ontario guys. Joel from Ajax and
Look at
Kevin
that.
from Toronto. And again, the great defense. And right now, the Moncton Magic just have things on lockdown.
They got the clamps on St. John right now, and they are struggling to come up with anything. And this is the kind of thing that you looked for from the start of the game. And St. John got back in the game in that second quarter purely on the defensive end and getting some stuff on the offensive end by being really patient and executing down on the shot clock. And they managed to get back in the game. But this is the kind of game that we envision here with the guys, the caliber of Morty and Isom that they got sitting out, that the Magic should be able to clamp down on this. And they've done a good job here in the second half.
Well, to this point, with 3:02 left to go in the fourth quarter, you talk about the defense of the Moncton Magic. They have held the St. John Riptide to only 32 points in the second half so far.
Since the break, yeah. And we joked a little bit about that halftime speech of Coach Salerno's, but I think we're not going to get the details of the words that were spoken. There might have been some of the less than, how shall we say, expletive variety, I would say. Let's give it the expletive variety. But I think what we'll learn from the post-game chat with, I would say, we're safe to call the player of the game at this point for Terry Thomas. I think we can give it to him, and he's done a good job with 24 tonight. When we talk to Terry, I think he'll talk about Coach Salerno speaking to the defensive end, even though they struggled offensively as well. I think defensively is where they look to get their offense out of as well, and they've done that in spades here in this second half.
So if things hold up the way they are, as we take a look at that big jam from Terry earlier in this fourth quarter, but if this score holds up and 20 points with 3:02, pretty safe to say, that will take the Moncton Magic record on the season to 23-17, 6 games over 500, a very successful regular season. And for the St. John Riptide, they'll go 1 game below 500 to 19-20, and again sets up all the more importance for the final regular season games for both the Riptide and the Island Storm.
And Island plays up in London, which isn't an easy task, but London will likely be resting guys.
Caliste outside, too strong, rebound right into the hands of Kenny Otieno, and he moves it up to Binney, and then Binney is fouled over on that far side by Jennings.
And Mency did a great job fighting through all those screens, getting a hand up on Caliste. He's down 20, but not waning is his effort late in this game.
2:47 left to play. And just a reminder to stick around at the conclusion of this game for our Moncton Magic post-game player of the game interview. Of course, Dave Tingley will be speaking with Terry Thomas.
And last time out, we had Al Stewart, and Al had no idea why we were picking him for player of the game. So modest is he. He thought I was crazy for picking him for player of the game. I had to spend the first 30 seconds explaining my decision.
Well, when we called him over, he was probably wondering if we had some Timbits for him.
I think that was it. Dave normally gives me Timbits. I must be getting a honey cruller over here or something.
Anytime Al sees us with Timbits, he'll have a couple. And speaking of Timbits, he puts a donut up. Couldn't quite get that to go. Back the other way, Binney steps in from 12 feet. Comes down into the hands of Farrell Thomas, and he'll just give it to Caliste. 2:20 to go. You'll start to hear this Moncton Magic crowd now. The nice crowd at the Coliseum will start to get louder and louder as this game winds down to its conclusion, and the Magic will get the victory. Marvell Waite, a hand right on him with his Bowdry. Marvell calmly, though, spins around. Bowdry runs right by him. Marvell couldn't hit the shot. But Al Stewart, look at Al getting the offensive rebound.
And credit to Farrell Thomas again for keeping that one alive, doing his Denzel Taylor impersonation down there. Those guys have done a great job keeping balls alive tonight.
Outside, Brent Jennings puts it up long distance, too strong. Indondo with the rebound, and he'll hand it off to Binney. Binney's got some wrapping on that right hand. 2 middle fingers strapped together, but it hasn't really affected his play much. He's had a nice contest here for the Riptide. Over in that corner, shot up. Off the front of the rim, Caliste taps the rebound down, and Al Stewart will just calmly walk it up with 1:20 left to go in the fourth quarter.
And that's Al's 6th rebound tonight. We'll see how far that moves him up. I believe it was 6 that he needed to move up that list into 3rd all time, but we'll confirm that later on, as will, I'm sure, the Magic on the website.
And Al tried to get another one, but Binney got a hand on it, and then Al just wrapped up Marvin Binney. Here's a nice look at Al right there. And you know, when you watch Al play, it's got to be so frustrating to be an opponent with Al, because you're trying to dribble, you're trying to make a move, and you think you got him, and then out of nowhere, Al just lightning quick gets the hands and slaps it away, digs it out. He's such a tenacious defender. It's got to be frustrating to play against him.
And there he is. We see that he needed 5 to pass Marvin Phillips, or 5 to tie Marvin Phillips on the all-time rebounding list. I believe they gave him credit for 6 there in the corner. So Al Stewart now ahead of Marvin Phillips and just behind Chris Commons for second on the all-time rebounds list. And you talk about a guy, on the rebounding list, at 5'10", I mean, it just goes to show how he fills up the box score in all areas, does Al throughout his career.
Well, it's interesting. I had Al on the Magic Time podcast a few weeks ago, and I asked him the secret to his success, and he didn't even hesitate. He answered, staying healthy. He said, and a nice shot there put up by Bowdry as he hits it for the St. John Riptide. 93-80, under a minute to play now. But Al Stewart said, look, he said, it's just, I work at my craft, but I've stayed healthy, knock on wood. He's been lucky, hasn't had any long injuries, and he's had himself a great career he's carved out.
And we should say that Anthony Anderson as well, with his 2 boards tonight, has passed Kevin Lozelle. Or actually, we should look, because Lozelle, I believe, had a game tonight. So they're locked in a battle for 4th place on the all-time rebounding list, are Kevin Lozelle and Anthony Anderson.
Well, the crowd getting into it now, under a half-minute left here. And this Moncton Coliseum crowd gets to enjoy a regular season finale victory for the home side Moncton Magic. So just 15 seconds left, 93-82 is your score. So the Moncton Magic, the best regular season ever for a Moncton franchise in the NBL, of course. Previous, it was the Moncton Miracles. But if you add up all of the seasons that Moncton franchises have had in the NBL, the best regular season in terms of record.
This is the first Moncton area professional basketball team to finish the season above 500. The Miracles had a 20-20 season one year, but these Magic are finishing at 23-17 and heading into the playoffs on a positive note.
So the coaches shake hands, the players will shake hands, and the Moncton Magic, much to the delight of the Coliseum crowd, put a very nice bow on top of the present that was this regular season for Moncton. 23-17, 6 games above 500 in the regular season. As mentioned, coming into this game, they had already locked down 2nd place in the division, and now it's just a matter of waiting to see who they're going to play. Will it be the St. John Riptide? Will it be the Island Storm? Well, we'll know in a matter of a couple of days. But honestly, Dave, and this is no disrespect to anybody else, I don't think the Moncton Magic care who they play.
Well, no, I don't think they do either. I think they've got an idea of what kind of work they'll have to do no matter who they see, and it's going to be on the defensive end of the floor. And I think that second half is indicative of the shutdown defense that they can play right up there with this #1 ranked defense from St. John. So if they do indeed play St. John, I think you're going to see